So,
Why is pleasure so important? Because it feels good. So, when we step into purpose, work, or doing things, we're undertaking an activity that requires either physical or mental effort, yeah? So that we are able to put out more effort, it is then required for us to rest. Because if we were to continue to try and put out more effort, we're either going to run out of effort to give, burn out, or overexhaust ourselves, yeah? And so, to understand what pleasure is, we'll be exploring the word itself and going a bit deep into it. And then we'll also be exploring what can happen when we either have too little or too much pleasure. And so, what does pleasure mean? The feeling of happy satisfaction or enjoyment, and also used or intended for entertainment rather than business. Right, so let's break both of those things down. So, what does happy mean? Feeling or showing pleasure or contentment, having a sense of trust or confidence in, or fortunate and convenient. And then what does satisfaction mean? Fulfillment of one's wishes, expectation or needs, or the pleasure derived from this. And then enjoyment meaning the state or process of taking pleasure in something, or the action of possessing and benefiting from something. So with all those things said, I feel it's pretty clear what pleasure is and how we can benefit from it, yeah? And so going a bit
deeper
into what enjoyment means, the action of providing or being provided with amusement or enjoyment. And then amusement meaning the state of experience of finding something funny. So funny being what funny is, I feel like you could say that's also a form of fun. So what does fun mean? Enjoyment, amusement, or light-hearted pleasure. So literally taking off that heavy load, being light-hearted and not being so super serious and heavy about it, yeah? And fun also meaning playfulness or good humor. So being playful, when we were kids, we would play and have fun. So what does to play mean? Engage in an activity for enjoyment or recreation rather than a serious or practical purpose. Literally, we're here to have fun, man. Because if we're not making time for fun, what's the point? What's the point of doing all these things so that we can be content if we're not making time to feel content and enjoy it all, yeah? I feel like this is a good way of going into why is it that we have too little pleasure? And one of the most common reasons I've found is that we'll feel guilty for not doing things, or there's even times where we can feel guilty for feeling pleasure about something, yeah? But speaking to y'all who are on that grind, working for a living, working, whatever it is, and because I've felt the same way, when you feel guilty about taking time off to not work, it can come from the I need to keep doing. So feeling guilty because you're not still doing that thing that you're doing. Why do you need to feel guilty about taking time to enjoy yourself after so much that you give? Just a thought there. And so exploring into the whole doing and work and all that jazz, let's get down to business and explore what work means. Activity involving physical or mental effort done in order to achieve a purpose or a result. And then in order for us to work, sometimes we have to be employed, so employment meaning the action of giving work to someone, so someone else giving work to us that we may not always want to do depending on where we're at. However, being employed, we are employed to be of service, yeah? So service meaning the action of helping or doing work for someone. Now I'm gonna go deeper into this in another video, but the whole essence and importance of really harnessing of being in service to others, it means that it allows people to be in service to us, yeah? And another meaning of service is an act of assistance. So there's nothing wrong with seeking assistance, you know, because there's times in our lives when it's quite hard and we do need that time to relax and sometimes go out for a meal and have people be an assistance for us so that we may have a nice evening, yeah? And that's why it's for another video, because otherwise I'll go way too deep into it. So, pretty straightforward what can happen if we don't make enough time for pleasure, yeah? And recognizing that there's nothing wrong with pleasure and that we actually deserve it for how much we give out. So then what can happen when we have too much pleasure? And what I've found from personal experience when, you know, I've embarked too much into pleasure and having things be good all the time, it's because there's something that we're avoiding in having for things to be good, yeah? And so when we have this a strain for things having to be good, for having to feel good, whatever that is, we have a desire in that moment so we feel different to how we're already feeling. So desire meaning the strong feeling of wanting to have something or wanting for something to happen, yeah? So when it's such a strong feeling like it has to happen, why is that the case? I don't feel like I need to say anymore because that can speak for itself. So, and the last thing that I'll end on that note, when we do seek pleasure like far too often, and it's like we're wanting that good feeling all the time, what can happen is it can cause a feeling of numbness because things are good all of the time. There's no longer that polarity or contrast of feeling the difference between the two. Yeah? So, without further ado, I really hope that you benefited from this video somehow. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, evening, wherever you are. Lots of love, take care, and peace.